Okay, get the right marker. That works. Okay. Anyone join? Usually join around 3 minutes. Usually it's like 1 or 2 minutes. Maybe we have, do I need to list anything else? Okay. I'm going to eat day 12. I wait. Because I have the ability to. Oh, hi. Welcome to the stream of me eating dates because I'm waiting for students to join. I figure it's Marsha because she's always the one that joins first. Am I correct, Marsha? Are you the one who joined? Oh, it's Esther K. Look at that. Okay, between you and Marsha, usually it's either Esther K or Marsha who joins first. Sometimes it's a guy. Manju will occasionally be awake. Who else will usually be awake? Okay, so we're briefly going to talk about 12.3. Write what questions you have on the homework. It's Sam. Sam and Marsha. Okay, welcome. If you have any questions on the homework, please write it in the chat. I will get to those questions by the end of the lecture. Okay? That's okay. If you have a question, you can just literally write the question. You don't have to say, Mr. David. I believe can you explain that to it? Okay, I'll do that later. Okay, so first things first, we're going to go basically over 2 examples, and that's the whole lesson. Okay? Yeah, we're going to go over 2 examples, and then that's the whole lesson. Okay? So, after those 2 examples, we will go into the questions you have. So if you have any questions on the homework, please ask it. Okay, now you guys recall, okay, this is not a good marker. I had a good marker a second ago, literally a second ago. And then I got this trash marker instead. So let's go with possibly a good marker. Okay, so if we have a polynomial, 8 plus 3x squared. Now we need to, for this part of the lesson, we're going to rewrite polynomials and then divide. And then we're going to divide. You have about 1,000. It's going to be 30 minutes. That's my goal. Less than 30 minutes. Maybe 20 minutes. Okay, to rewrite this, we need to make sure our exponents of our variable is the biggest. So we'll have 3x squared, then plus, that's 8x, 8. Now, notice there's no x here. Hey, Don. I think I already said, you know about 1,000 of my lectures? Well, if it was school, you have the same number. Okay, so x squared, x, and then no x. But since there's no number here, we write 0x. Okay, this is crucial. So you need to remember that even though there is no x here, there's no, just x by itself, you need to plug in plus 0x. Oh, markers. Oh, yeah, I have way too many markers. Yeah, that's true. True statement. Okay, so 3x squared plus 0x plus 8. Okay, so we rewrite polynomials. Let's take another example. Let's say we had 5y, that's 5x, 5y plus y squared plus 4. Now to rewrite this, we have to write it in order of power. So it needs to go y squared, then 5y, then 4. Okay? So you always need to write these in order. Why do we write the 0x? Because when we divide, we need to keep track of that place. It's kind of like an example. If you had 5, let's say 54, and you're dividing by 5, and you put 0.0. Now, do you need this 0.0 in normal 54? Well, no, but because we're dividing by 5, it makes it easier to then figure out the decimal. Okay, so it basically makes it easier to divide it. That's kind of the rule. Okay. Okay. So let's try one more. I'll give you an example of rewriting the polynomial. And you can try it on your own for, let's say, a minute, because not even a minute, 30 seconds. Let's do -6 plus n squared. Rewrite this polynomial. -6 plus n squared. Rewrite this polynomial. Actually, not wanting to get darker. Okay. How do we rewrite this polynomial? You can write it in chat. Use the Shift 6 key to show exponents. Shift 6. What is this polynomial? Okay. Well, the 0 needs to go in front of the n, but that'd be the right way. So n squared plus 0n minus 6. Yep, that's correct. Okay? So rewriting this is just this, okay? Now you do need to rewrite it, okay? Remember, the 0n, you don't see it up here, but it does exist, okay? Okay, so it's something we need to keep track of, especially when we start dividing. So, let's start dividing. Okay, now we have 5y plus y squared plus 4 divided by 2 plus y. Now you have to organize everything in proper order. So first we organize this. So we get y squared plus 5y plus 4. And then the 2 plus y we need to reorder, so it's y plus 2. Okay, now division. Same process we used before. Same exact process. Okay? Which is, you look at the first term. How many times does this go in here? Well, that's just y, right? Y times y is y squared, and y times 2 is 2y. Okay? The next step after you multiply this times this is you subtract. So you get y squared minus y squared. That's just 0. 5y minus 2y is 3y. And the next step is you drop down this. I won't do this arrow every time anymore. You drop down this 4, so plus 4. Now, we see how many times does y go into 3y? That's just 3. And 3 times this whole thing, so 3 times y, 3y. 3 times 2 is 6. And subtract it. Okay. After subtracting it, the y's cancel. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. So, our answer is y plus 3 minus 2, and the remainder over what we divided by. So y plus 2. So over what we divided by. Okay? How did I get 2y? I did this y times y plus 2 over here. So I got y times y squared, y times 2, 2y. 2 times. So, okay? Does anyone have a question on this right here? So all we do for these kind of questions is just reorganize it, okay? Just rewrite it and then divide, okay? Now, ideally, if you get good at division, you'll really get good at factoring. They kind of relate, but it does take some practice. Okay. Okay. So, Sam, did you understand how I got my 2y? I'll show you another problem so that I can show you why we would get something like that. Okay. Okay, let's do, so this is 8m minus 7 plus 4m squared, and we're dividing this by 5 plus 2m. So again, we first have to rewrite it. So first rewrite this first part, so the m squared goes first, then the 8m, then the minus 7. And then we divide, but we need to rewrite this as 2m plus 5. Okay, when dividing, you first look at the first term and you see how many times does this go into this. Or you think 4m squared divided by 2m. That's the two possibilities. And I get 2m. Now the next step is I multiply this 2m times this whole thing, times each part. So 2m times 2m is going to be 4m squared. 2m times 5 is going to be 10m. Subtract it, and you get 4m squared minus 4m squared is going to be 0. 8m minus 10m is negative 2m. And then I'm going to drop down my next term, get minus 7. Okay. Next step, think. What's negative 2m divided by 2m? Well, that's just negative 1. So I write that up here, minus 1. Minus 1 times this whole thing. So minus 1 times 2m is negative 2m. Minus 1 times 5 is negative 5. Now I'm going to subtract this from both. These cancel, okay, because this becomes a positive, so these two will cancel. Negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2. So my answer would be 2m minus 1 minus 2 over 2m plus 5. This is a really weird box. Let's fix that box because it looks bad. Okay. Okay. So that's our process. Okay. Now we're going to do one more question, and we're at 14 minutes. And do one more type of question, and then I will answer any questions on the homework. Okay? So one more type of question. So our type of question is going to be 13 plus 4m squared divided by negative 1 plus 2m. So this is a rewriting one. Now this one doesn't have an m in there. We don't see just m. So we're going to have to write 4m squared plus 0m plus 13. So you have to keep track of that 0m. Okay? Then we just rewrite this as 2m minus 1. Okay? So divide, we look at the first term. Think 4m squared divided by 2m. We just did a problem like this, so this would be 2m. Okay? We multiply 2m times 2m is 4m squared. 2m times minus 1 is negative 2m. We subtract this from above. These two cancel. 0 plus 2 would be 2m right here, positive 2m. We drop down the next term. Okay. Now it feels simple because practice. It does take practice to get used to this. At first it is, again, challenging. So then again we see how much does our first term divide into the first term? 2m divided by 2m. Well, that's just going to be plus 1. We multiply 1 times this whole thing. 1 times 2m is 2m. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Subtract this, we get 0. 13 plus 1 is 14. So we're going to have a remainder again. So we get 2m plus 1, that's what we got on top, plus 14, what's our remainder? It's over 2m minus 1. And that would be our conclusion. No, we're loading. Okay. Oh, buffering. What are we buffering for? Anyway, my question to myself. Okay, let's do one more of these type of problems, and then I will answer your question from the homework, Esther Kate. If anyone else has questions from the homework, write it in chat right now. If you want to just check whether you are correct or not on the homework, that's fine. Okay? So again, we need to remember, we need to keep track of that 0. So we're going to have n squared minus 6 divided by negative 3 plus n. Now remember, this does not have a n there. So we get n squared plus 0n minus 6. Now, do we have to do this every time? Yes. Okay, we rewrite the second part as n minus 3. Okay, so we're putting in n minus 3 into here, dividing it. Okay, n squared divided by n is just n. Multiply n times n plus 3 minus 3, we get n squared times, so we get negative 3n. Okay, subtract this, we get positive 3n minus 6. Okay? Positive 3n minus 6. Divide 3n by n. You get plus 3. 3 times n is 3n. That's correct. 3 times negative 3 is going to be negative 9. I'm going to divide this out. Subtract this out. We get 3n minus 3n, 0. Negative 6 plus 9 is going to be negative 6 plus 9 is going to be 3. So our solution is n plus 3 minus plus 3 over n minus 3. Sorry, make sure your signs are correct. That would be where I was in danger. Okay, just double checking your signs. Okay, and that would be the answer. Okay, so we got 2F and 2E from the homework. Okay, and do this for a second while I switch the homework 9. Thank you. I found you. Okay, 2E and 2F. I think 2E and 2F you should be able to do easier now. But, it's always good to practice. Okay, 2E and 2F. If anyone else has questions, feel free to ask them. The next homework will only be 4 questions because this was 6 questions, right? Or was it 8 questions? 8 questions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 8. So, yeah, maybe 4. 4 is good. 4 is a good number. Okay. 3x squared plus 2x plus 12 divided by x plus 2. Yeah, it's 8. I know. I just was counting. 4 questions over a long weekend. Man, I should give you more homework, right? Because you need to practice 2 questions for each type. So, 4 questions. That's why we have 8 questions, because I had 2 factoring beforehand. Okay. 3x squared, we think. What's 3x squared divided by x? We get 3x. Multiply 3x times x plus 2. 3x times 3x times x. 3x squared. 3x times 2. 6x. Then subtract it. Subtract this by this. Same thing. Cancels. Well, it is 4 questions because 2 for each type. Okay, 2 minus 6 is negative 4x, and then we drop down our plus 12. Okay, how many times does x go into negative 4x? How many times? Goes in negative 4. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Subtract this, becomes, this cancels, right? Same thing. 12 minus a negative is plus. 12 plus 8 is 20. So we have, our answer would be 3x minus 4 plus 20, remainder of 20 over what we divided by x plus 2. That would be our conclusion. Okay? Okay? Now, there was example 6 in the book, but that's not what we're going to do. I am going to give you an extra credit question. Ooh. Yeah, it'll be fun. Okay? Now, 2F. So we have 8w squared minus 24w minus 11. You already know there's going to be a remainder because this is not a even thing. 4w plus 2. Okay, first question. How many times, what's 8w squared divided by 4w? It's going to be 2w. Then we multiply 2w times what we're dividing by, so 2w times 4w is 8w squared. 2w times 2 is 4w. Subtract it, you get 0, and negative minus a negative, minus 4, so 24, negative 24 minus 4 is negative 28. W, bring down our 11. Then we think, what's negative 28? W divided by 4W. That gives us negative 7. Multiply negative 7 times this whole thing. Negative 7 times 4W is negative 28W. Negative 7 times 2 is negative 14. Subtract it. We get cancels, negative 11 plus 14 is going to give us 3. So our conclusion would be 2w minus 7 plus 3 over 4w plus 2. Okay, that's our conclusion. Any questions? Okay, now remember, remainder you write over what you divided by. Okay, remainder is what you divided by. And that would be the lesson for 1A. 1A is just factoring. I believe in your ability to factor, guys. So factoring, remember, you take the first number. So zoom in, it's like right here. Can't see it, but I believe. Okay, factoring, you take the first number and the last number, you multiply them together. So 3 times 8, 24. What are the factors of 24? That would add up to be negative 10. Okay, so negative 10. And then you break up the middle into those two numbers, and then you group them and factor each of those two groups. Basically, what it would look like is, I'll give you an example of something that could be factored instead of just giving you the answer. Okay, let's just look at an example. Not exactly helpful. Okay, whatever. Let's say we had 4n squared minus 7n plus 3. So I look at 4 and 3, that gives us 12. What factors of 12 give us negative 7? Well, there's 3 and 4 would give us positive 7. So negative 3 times negative 4 would give us negative 7. Then we just break up the middle into those two numbers. So negative 3n minus 4n plus 3. And then you group the first and the second things. Factor it off, so you get 4n minus 3 minus 1 4n minus 3. If these two are the same, then you can go n minus 1 times 4n minus 3. And that would be our factors. Okay? So you break up the middle into the factors. Okay? Okay, guys, I don't know where my mouse went. Vanished into thin air. Oh, I do know where my mouse went. Okay, bye guys, have a great day. Thank you.